Bethany Mandel is the author of Stolen Youth. She's also a phenomenally successful blogger, columnist, and influencer. Good morning, Bethany. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I want to put that on my tombstone. Phenomenally
I love your
successful.
new backdrop. You've moved again. There are more
I have.
rooms in the Mandel house than I could possibly imagine. Where's this?
I I just have to hide all the time, and this is where I've chosen to hide today. This is our library.
All right. Bethany, I want to ask two questions related to you as a young mother of many children. One, do you care about what the hijinks are going on in Congress? Does it even attract a minute of your attention?
No, except if they close the parks, that would bother me. Other than that, absolutely not. And truth be told, I've barely been following it.
That's what I think these folks, the obstructionist Republicans, are counting on people like you sending them
Yeah.
money, and you're not. You're not paying attention. They're dummies. Question number two: what do you want asked at the Republican debate tomorrow night? As a young mom,
Yeah, I mean, I want to see a super duper focus on education. I think that a lot of Republicans are rightfully concerned about all of the sexualization that's happening in schools, but I think that the absolute free fall in test scores, which, I mean, listen, my homeschooled kids have never taken a test. I don't put a lot of stock in tests, but they indicate that there's something deeply wrong in the American school system, and it's in a free fall. In
yeah,
Baltimore,
the
which
test
is
taking
nice.
population is a control group. We know that
Yeah,
the test
yeah.
taking we can track it over years, and we know that public schools are failing terribly.
Yep. In Baltimore, there were 13 schools where not a single student tested proficient. And in the top five schools, only 11% tested proficient in math. And proficient is like the floor of what they should be able to do.
So how do you frame that for the seven people who will be on the stage? Asa Hutchinson dropped off. Everybody else comes back, including Doug Burgum. Asa, we hardly knew you, but how would you frame the education issue in a question?
I would say, what do you think is the most pressing issue in American education? And if it's not success, if it's not merit, then that's immediately disqualifying. And what would you do as president of the United States to make things better? Because ultimately, the federal government should not have a lot of control over what's happening on a state to state basis. So, what does the president see his or her role being as, you know, interfacing with the American education system?
All right, now I want to ask you about Randy Weingarten. She has a tweet out today holding up allegedly banned books. There is no book banning going on in the United States. Some parents want pornographic materials removed from school libraries, and that's not book banning. And even if those books are taken off, it's not book banning. What does Randy Weingarten think people are stupid when she holds up To
So,
Kill a Mockingbird? Does she really think we're that
and
stupid?
the other book, and that's why I turned around. The other book, which I have up here, is Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl was banned, quote unquote, by left wingers who were offended by his use of words like fat and chubby and all these things. So to hold up a Roald Dahl book is such chutzpah because I'm sorry, Randy, it's your team that's doing the banning on that. And I bought that box set as an extra because of that, because the publisher decided they were going to start whitewashing the entire series. And I was like, I better grab that again because I had lent my first box set to Mary Catherine Ham, who you can ask where that is when you talk to her on
Yeah, yeah.
Thursday.
Good luck with that. That's in
I
pieces. That's
know.
been cut up and in pasteboard now. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
when
but
all of the news, yeah. So I mean it's just chutzpah.
well, chutzpah is a secular technical term that most of my Pittsburgh Steeler fans won't understand. She's lying, isn't she?
Yes.
I mean, it's just a
Yes.
lie.
Yes. And not only is it a lie, it's peeing on my leg and saying it's raining. Like it's
Yeah.
her team that's doing the banning when it comes to Roald Dahl.
Yeah. So my last question: do you think that Republicans are smart enough to figure out that the education issue is the submarine issue in this election? I do. I think it's going to be the issue in Virginia in the off years. I think it's going to be the issue throughout the next 14 months. But Republicans have to figure it out. Do you think they will?
Yeah. I mean, your question started with, do you think Republicans are smart enough? And in my head, I was like, nope. I don't know where he's
No.
going, but the answer is no. So no.
You're so cynical. You young people, you youngsters are so cynical. How are you teaching your kids about uh, the oldest ones about Congress? We have 1 minute. Do you show them only a bill? Because it doesn't work that way anymore. I'm just wondering if you're sticking to the old pretend system.
No, not really. I mean, thank God, like we live in America's capital, so we take tours of Congress all the time. And I'm cynical with them too. I'm like, well, this is where they pay people to. And it's also like we have friends who work here. I'm like, well, he used to work on the Hill, but now he makes a lot more money peddling his influence on K Street. So that's where that person works now. And this is how it all works. Yeah, I'm raising really cynical people. It's probably pretty terrible.
It's ultra. You
how the
are
world
you are raising appropriately skeptical people who realize that folks like Matt Gaetz, Matt Rosendale, Ralph Norman, and Dan Bishop are not in it for anybody except themselves. Bethany Mandel, good to see you. Follow her on the site formerly known as Twitter at Bethany Shondark. She's going to change that someday to Bethany Mandel so we don't confuse the Steelers fans, but not today is not that day.